meddled with the primal forces of nature.
I'm going to get better.
You felonied my brother.
It's time to break down Better Call Saul, one episode at a time, in order. This week it all begins, so now's a great time to subscribe if you haven't yet. I've got 90 details you might not know in Season 1, Episode 1, Uno. We start in black and white. When this happened in Breaking Bad, it meant we're in a flash forward. Does that mean we're about to see the pink bear pop up? No, but that looks like a Cinnabon, and we're in Omaha. So Saul's best case scenario came true.
Best case scenario, I'm managing a Cinnabon in Omaha.
And this is a post-Breaking Bad flash forward. This was a real Cinnabon in Albuquerque's Cottonwood Mall, but that mural was created by the show. And I mentioned this in Granite State, but the Cinnabon line originally was Hot Topic instead. It turns out Cottonwood Mall has a Hot Topic, and unlike Cinnabon, it's still there. These are real Cinnabon employees from that location, except for Gene, the manager. In an early draft, his name was Keith.
Just another douchebag with a job and 3 pairs of Dockers.
They shot this in color, then changed it to black and white after the fact. His shirt was a bit of a baby blue. The reason for the black and white is to show the fun drained out of his life, but it's also a great visual shorthand to distinguish the post-Breaking Bad world versus the past. Just like with Jesse in Breaking Bad, a scary guy freaks him out, but we see it's a false alarm when he hugs someone. This lady's a Cinnabon executive. For this series, they were very aware of people trying to read every little detail, so they folded down the corner of this Omaha magazine so you couldn't read a date. Although I looked up all the old covers, and this appears to be fake anyway.
The 4K, you gotta have all your I's dotted and your T's crossed with the props, because you can read everything now.
This episode first aired on February 8th, a nod to the Breaking Bad episode called Better Call Saul that first introduced us to the character. This is also really Albuquerque, and it was very hot when they filmed this. He's making a rusty nail, which has a reputation of being an old man drink. This is in stark contrast to what he drank in the before times. The Disappearers set him up with a way nicer house than Walt's, although he is able to hide in plain sight better. This is real local news footage from Omaha in 2002, and this is not just a snowstorm.
Making it even slippier, or more slippery.
It was Slippin' fall season.
To get the glass to fog, they made it super cold and had Bob drink hot coffee. It's fitting that this is a Florsheim shoebox because they were founded and originally made in Chicago, and we'll learn he grew up in that area. There's a Panamanian passport. Perhaps his ultimate goal is to escape to Panama? It's interesting that these photos were developed in Maine and the name on the envelope is Fisco. However, this seems to be just a real envelope that they were able to procure. And now Saul relives his glory days.
When legal forces have you cornered, better call Saul. Do you feel doomed?
There's our pop of color. Vintage, colorful Saul, a man who no longer exists thanks to Walter White. There was no real reflection on his glasses. They added it digitally using the old commercials they shot for Breaking Bad. The idea of the title sequence is to replicate a low-budget Saul Goodman commercial, providing a bit of a reminder of who the main character will eventually become. It was inspired by 80s public access TV, and it's like a continuation of what Gene was just watching on TV. And these are not meant to be film artifacts, but rather bad green screen. We won't see any film artifacts in this video because almost all of Better Call Saul was filmed digitally. Seasons 1 and 2 used Red Epic Dragon 5K cameras. Going digital was cheaper, faster, and easier, both for filming and post-production, although they initially tested both, and Vince said if he could tell the difference, he would insist on film. He could not tell the difference. For the background, they're using previously unused footage that was going to be in that Better Call Saul Breaking Bad episode. The statue was not really on Saul's office building for this close-up. The title sequence changes in interesting ways from episode to episode, then season to season, telling a story on its own. We'll revisit this over time. Instead of the theme song they commissioned from Little Barry, their first idea was just to have a busy signal that got progressively louder. We then get a very realistic look at how tedious and unglamorous courtroom proceedings can be, unlike what we typically see on TV. And this is one of the few non-Albuquerque shots. It's a defunct courtroom in Los Lunas. Writer Tom Schnauz drew this picture. He also drew Walt Whitman in Gale's notebook. Although the courtroom was real, surprisingly this bathroom is a set. The original script had Jimmy peeing here, but Vince realized it would be better to convey that the only reason he's here is that it's the only private space he had.
19. Oh, to be 19 again. If I were held accountable for some of the stupid decisions I made when I was 19.
This is the only Season 1 episode co-written and directed by Vince. He wrote the teaser and the first 2 acts, and Peter Gould wrote the rest.
They did a dumb thing. We're not denying that.
This lady's a retired court stenographer in real life, and she actually typed what he's saying.
Trespassing, it's a bit of a reach, don't you think, Dave? I don't think they deserve to have their bright futures ruined by a momentary lapse of judgment.
His suits were custom made in Italy, but a little bit loose and a little bit wrong, intentionally.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're bigger than that.
He just gave a 265-word defense, but the prosecutor needed 0. The tape was recorded in October 2001, our first clue to the time frame here. Vince chose this date as a nod to X-Files creator Chris Carter, whose birthday is October 13th and whose production company is called 1013. 1013 appears throughout the X-Files universe and on Gale's clock in Breaking Bad. Things like this is why people scour these episodes for hidden details.
We have the best fans in the world because these folks love to watch all the details. They put so much effort into all those little details. They look at them all and sometimes find things that we didn't know were there.
People like Sayaka Meizono, who noticed this VCR is stopped right now, so the tape isn't actually playing. Vince also directed this tape.
I dare you to stick your wang in the throat hole. I will if you will, loser.
What the hell kind of math is that?
And we're now told explicitly it's May 2002. And we see his name is James McGill. After all,
My real name's McGill.
and he lives on
160 Wantabo.
700 per defense.
No. Defendant. 3 defendants, 2,100, which, by the way, bargain what I did for them.
They going to jail, ain't they?
They had sex with a head.
One trial, $700.
So you want me to spend 9 weeks of my life, one maniac at a time, with 3 maniacs? Go fuck!
This hallway is the same spot Walt waited after getting pepper sprayed. Speaking of Walt, it looks like Heisenberg was here, right by an homage to a Breaking Bad style film artifact. This is a normal doorway to a courtroom that they converted to a booth by putting up this fake lower wall. They tried to match the marble with cheaper materials, although that base is a bit of a giveaway.
Sayonara, baby.
You have yourself a nice day.
That was an ad-lib. Some people swear this is Getz from Breaking Bad, but I'm here to tell you that is not DJ Qualls. Here's a photo of him from around the same time frame. We see him walking to that familiar white Cadillac, and that is the same Cadillac from Breaking Bad. But whoops, it's a fake out. He drives a Suzuki Esteem that has seen better days. Vince said it's a nice car, but they chose it because the name is so ridiculous. But he also said this about Mr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium in Breaking Bad, so he's probably just softening the blow. He pushes the antenna aside in this shot, but it doesn't match the other shots where it's still pointing backwards.
Law offices of James McGill, how may I direct your call?
I used to wonder if he was supposed to be British or Irish or something else, but Bob confirmed he intentionally did a bad British accent. It's based on Stu Richardson, the post-production supervisor.
Every chance I get to do the worst British accent that becomes Irish and Scottish, I do it. And I love the idea of Anglophiles watching going, that's not right.
Yes, Mrs. Kettleman. Unfortunately, our offices are being painted. Could he meet you and your husband at, say, Loyola's Cafe on Central?
That's where Mike met with Lydia. Ah, remember Mike? I miss him. We can see JMM initials on his briefcase. He then narrowly avoids Walt's mistake.
$3.
I know that voice.
I'm validated. See the stickers?
One shy. It's $3.
5 stickers, 6 stickers, I don't know from stickers. I was in that court back there, saving people's lives.
Oh, gee, that's swell. And thank you for restoring my faith in the judicial system.
We've got our second Breaking Bad character. The show loves to do these slow reveals where we get a glimpse, then hear a voice,
$3.
before they hit you with a face. Remember this formula as we go. They even did the slow reveal earlier with both Gene and Jimmy. Just so you know, I'm obsessed with these character reveals, and it's the whole reason I started this channel in the first place.
Now, you either pay the $3 or you go back inside and you get an additional sticker.
Fine, you win. Hooray for you. I have to back up. I need more stickers. Don't have enough stickers. Employee of the month over here. Yeah! Hooray! Give them a medal. Don't do anything, guys. Just relax, all right?
The focus on her bracelet is noteworthy. Colors have meaning in this show, although it's different from Breaking Bad. We'll get to it in a later episode. Although we see a lot more of Loyola's here, those lights are unmistakable. And this is a good example of how Better Call Saul cinematography differs from Breaking Bad. Unlike Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul uses a lot of extreme wide-angle shots and slow Kubrick-style zoom shots. It also generally avoids some Breaking Bad signatures like handheld cameras, and those shots where surfaces are magically clear.
I mean, certainly not guilty of some.
It's certainly not. The number here is 1.6 million.
Well, that's an accounting.
When that happens, the police look at the treasury.
I just think I'd look guilty if I hired a lawyer.
It's getting arrested that makes people look guilty.
How would we proceed?
Well, this is a letter of engagement. If you sign it, I can get started on that defense strategy of ours this very afternoon.
They slowed down the footage here.
Craig, I think maybe we should sleep on it.
Sure. Don't you think, Mr. McGill?
Please call me Jimmy. Absolutely. I mean, there's no rush. Take this. It's got my phone number on it.
Yeah.
Bob's really driving here. Just like this scene in Breaking Bad where you could see the same blue building go by many times, here you can see the same house with blue pass by twice. Channel member Jor mapped out the route of the 3 overlapping shots.
Dear Betsy and Craig.
The creators confirmed that Betsy Kettleman was named after Betsy Brandt. As Betsy's probably the most Marie-like character, that's pretty appropriate. The headrest is missing, which is a common trick on TV to see the characters better. But in this case, it fits with his car. Stunt coordinator Al Godo is down here ready to pull the emergency brake to help Jimmy spin out. I don't know anyone who didn't jump or scream the first time they saw that. They digitally added the broken glass and a separate shot of Cal falling onto a camera. So this is kind of just like the digitally added Skinny Pete from Hazard Pay, but not nearly as versatile. Unlike Cal flying through the air, Pete can be inserted just about anywhere. Okay, that's really it for Skinny Pete until El Camino. I'm serious. Strangely, they mixed in a train braking noise. They added the cracked glass effect to many other shots, but I think it's safe to say that they didn't bother adding it here, and also one of 3 later shots outside Chuck's.
What did you do to my brother? You ran him over. I got the whole thing on video.
These are real-life twin brothers, unlike the Salamanca twins, who were born 3 years apart.
Somebody call the cops.
Don't call the police.
I'm doing it myself.
Don't call the police. Don't call the police.
Don't call the cops. What are you gonna do to make things right?
I don't know, fellas. What can I do to make it right?
$500.
Ow, what the hell, man?
Listen, Starlight Express.
That's a musical in which all the actors perform on roller skates.
I'm a lawyer. Furthermore, does a steaming pile of crap scream payday to you, huh? The only way that entire car is worth $500 is if there's a $300 hooker sitting in it. Now, let's talk about what you owe me for the windshield. What?
Despite many requests, I'm not going to do a feet counter, although I'll be on the lookout for any sightings of Matt feet from Breaking Bad.
Chào Các Cô, ladies.
He just said, hello, ladies. We don't yet know where Jimmy works or lives, but here's a very subtle clue given the address we saw in the check.
You work for people who have sex with chopped off head?
Was it in the paper?
That must mean this is a day or two later, which makes sense because this letter we're about to see was typed the same day as Jimmy's court case.
Cucumber water for customer only.
Other than Mrs. Nguyen, these ladies work at this real-life nail salon. This is not the same nail salon from Breaking Bad, but it explains Saul's familiarity with them. Here we switch from the real salon to a set. The dot matrix printer paper is a nice touch, ancient even by 2002 standards.
You have 0 messages.
FionaCom is named after Peter Gould's daughter. Helen Caldwell is a script supervisor on Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad. This episode presents us with so many mysteries that don't get explained until later. He certainly doesn't seem to be in a position to reject $26,000. And the McGill in HHM's name is noteworthy. Most pilots find excuses to explain things to the audience.
Carmen, this is my sister Marie.
Listen up, I'm gonna give a little toast. Little toast to my brother-in-law, come here.
But at no point in this episode do they ever say that Chuck is Jimmy's brother. Although this episode isn't really a pilot, as they had a green light for the whole season before filming. Dave Porter, the amazing composer for Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, wrote that elevator tone. I guess Jimmy takes 2 different elevators because this one has the fancy HHM wood paneling inside.
Brenda.
I am counting Brenda as a Breaking Bad character. This is probably nothing more than the reuse of a local actor, but in 7 years she'll party with Jesse.
Nice dude.
To me, that validates that she normally wears it down.
Where's Lord Vader?
How about you wait out here?
How about I don't? Oh, Sir Francis. Well-groomed as always. Okay. All right.
You have meddled with the primal forces of nature, Mr. Hamlin, and I won't have it!
You have meddled with the primal forces of nature, Mr. Beale, and I won't have it!
You can see why Jimmy thought of this scene.
It's this table. Something just comes over me. Hey, Jack. Hey, Nate. Hey, Aaron.
Clearly, those are the important characters we'll get to know.
What can we do for you, Jimmy?
This was Ray and Patrick's first time being directed by Vince, and he made quite a first impression when he stopped a scene so he could rotate a Danish 90 degrees and move a crumb.
You can tell me what this $26,000 is supposed to be for.
That's money for Chuck.
Jesus, you're like Peter Minuit with the Indians. Throw in some beads and shells while you're at it. 1/3 of this place belongs to him. What do you got, 12 chairs here? 4 of these chairs are Chuck's. 5 of these light thingamajigs, 1 2/3 are Chuck's. How many Danishes? 6 Danishes?
You can have all the Danish you want, Jimmy.
No. They're Chuck's Danishes. And Chuck isn't greedy, so he'll just take 2 plus $17 million. No more penny ante checks designed to make it look like Chuck still works here. He doesn't. It's time to do right by him and cash him out.
So these are Chuck's own wishes that you're conveying.
This is what's best for him.
They decided to give Howard a wedding ring because he's meant to represent everything Jimmy is not. There was nothing fleshed out regarding his personal life, though. They used the name Hamlin as a placeholder, thinking Harry Hamlin from LA Law, but they couldn't come up with anything they liked better.
If Chuck can call this an extended sabbatical, then so can we. He's that important to us.
You know what? Let's let a jury figure it out. Yeah, they're gonna love you, Howard. You're so down to earth and relatable.
And you will atone.
It's Ned Beatty from Network. For Christ's sakes, guys.
Hearing Jimmy do that hurts my throat, especially knowing that a little before filming started, Bob tore a vocal cord. He said doing scenes like this made it worse, and on weekends he'd go without talking.
I almost forgot. This month's filings.
Weren't you listening in there? Chuck doesn't work here anymore. Stop trying to pawn that shit off on him.
Jimmy, sometimes you can get so caught up in the idea of winning that you forget to listen to your heart. Give Chuck my love.
Oh, there you are. Betsy.
Ouch. Jimmy gave them the idea to get a lawyer, but they, or rather Mrs. Kettleman, decided to get a real lawyer. Let's spy on their conversation.
It's a pleasure.
Howard, thank you.
Pleasure to meet you, yeah.
It's very nice.
Yeah. Good. You look lovely today.
Oh, thank you so much. So do you. I tried to get Craig to wear his suit nice and pocket square.
Oh, nice try.
It really doesn't. He just likes to say that.
Okay, so this must not be the first time he's done this. Bob was wearing steel-toed boots for this. This is an iconic shot, but where is that light coming from? They seem cozy.
Couldn't you just...
No, I can't.
That red aftermarket key fob is the exact same one used in Felina, and that was intentional.
Son of a bitch.
Ground yourself?
Yes, I grounded myself.
It's funny to think about Chuck asking this when you consider how many of these visits Jimmy would have done by now.
Perfect timing.
University of Helsinki.
You're gonna have to get that translated.
Into Swedish.
Finnish.
Oh,
Financial Times.
that's not sorry.
I don't expect you to go out of pocket. Go ahead, reimburse yourself.
You win this round, money, but I'm sure I'll find prop money at some point.
Can we talk?
You're not in trouble.
You gotta cash out.
Again? Really? Suppose my partners are forced to liquidate the firm.
That's their problem. I'm going under. PD cases at $700 a
Public
shot.
defender work is some of the best experience there is.
It's worth noting that although he's doing public defender work, he's not actually a public defender employed by the city with a stable salary and benefits. He's contract counsel handling overflow work.
I might as well head down to Skid Row and sell plasma.
The money is beside the point.
Money is not beside the point. Money is the point.
I can't carry both of us. I've been trying like hell, but I can't. You are broke.
There's nothing to worry about. Stipend. It's going to be one every week.
$857 from Hamlin McGill.
I didn't want to take anything, but Howard was very insistent.
Chuck's real-life house is along San Cristobal Road, although the address belongs to the cross street. It's extremely close to Jesse's house and not far from the doghouse, which I just noticed has the address 1216, but I digress. Just like Walter White's house, the interior is a set that has no relation to the real-life interior.
Hamlin's making you a chump.
I'm going to get better!
Peter, who wrote this line, was pleasantly surprised by how forcefully he delivered it. He imagined it more like how he read it here.
I am going to get better.
I'm going to go back to work, and I'm picking up where I left off.
I'm going to go back to work, and I'm picking up where I left off.
The pride that Michael McKean infused into Chuck changed the way they wrote his character going forward.
Sorry. I understand that you're trying to look out for me, but you're missing the bigger picture. Speaking of which, Howard brought this. You have to admit it could be confusing. Hamlin McGill, James M. McGill.
That's my name. I was born with it.
How about Vanguard Law or Gibraltar?
So I'm not supposed to use my name.
I'm sure Howard would gladly pay the cost of new matchbooks and so on. It's simply a matter of professional courtesy.
Upon the first viewing, this seems like it would be the impetus for adopting the Saul Goodman name.
Chuck, whose side are you on?
Wouldn't you rather build your own identity? Why ride on someone else's coattails?
That's harsh. It's not like he used the name JMM, although that matchbook does kind of look like Hamlindigo Blue.
You want to dance, Howard? Let's dance.
If you haven't finished season 1, hit the 10-second skip button now. Whose side are you on is an interesting clue right in this first episode. And I'm sure Howard didn't care about Jimmy using the name James M. McGill. The coattails Chuck views him riding on are his own.
Go!
This is the very first shot they filmed for the whole series.
You can get closer than that, you bitch.
That's a stuntman, and here's a Texas swap where the real Cal now walks into frame. These brothers didn't know how to skateboard at all, so they worked with a teacher, and Lars broke his thumb while practicing, which is why he's wearing this. In fact, the only time you see either one of them skate on camera was this part earlier. I hope that broken thumb was worth it to get 1 foot of skating.
Tighter. Everything. Tighter? What? Tighter what? Just stand tighter.
Is this foreshadowing? Did they end up summoning him like Beetlejuice?
Hey, fellas.
How did you find us?
This is a real skate park, although the show added that sign modeled after the real one.
Let me tell you about a young guy in a town called Cicero, Illinois.
Bob's also from the Chicago area, and some people can hear a bit of that accent, although I can't tell.
They called him Slippin' Jimmy.
Slippin' Jimmy. What the hell kind of name is that?
Slippin' Jimmy had it dialed in. He'd find a nice, smooth patch of ice. Boom! He would biff it so hard, people would come running from 5 blocks away.
Yeah, but did he collect?
$8 grand. I look at you guys, I see potential.
Jimmy's been making an honest living, but struggling to make ends meet. A chance encounter with a young man catapults him into a life of crime. Well, back to a life of crime in this case. Sound familiar? To close out this episode, we've got our first Slippin' Jimmy scheme.
Nice boat.
Discreet, like a stripper pole in a mosque. Look at the car, a 1988 Mercury Sable wagon. Remember it.
Because they already wrote episode 3 before filming this, they knew to place the camping sticker on the Kettlemans' car.
Close your eyes. What color is it?
Brown.
No. It's medium sandalwood. How does the license plate start?
4.
Give those gentlemen a gold star. Betsy Kettleman's her name. When she gets out of the car, you're suffering St. Sebastian.
The universe, or at least the camera angle, is telling Jimmy to stop this right now, but he doesn't listen to the signs.
Now, I'm Mrs. K's white knight. We go mano a mano. I'm gonna play it cool, give you back some of the razzmatazz, and once she's seen the fireworks, you fold like a lawn chair. Happy ending. The embezzlement case. Yes, I'd be happy to talk it over. Oh, shit. 2-minute warning.
Got it.
Unlike the last hit, this one was done for real with a stuntman, and the windshield was not supposed to break. As a result, they only did one take. It does look like they blurred and altered whatever was down the road, though. Maybe it's the barricade for closing off the street. The skateboard was run over by the car, and the car stopped further forward, so I don't think it should be here. They are being really cognizant of freeze-framers like me, because I feel like they must have blurred the stuntman's face here. He almost looks like a Lego man turned backwards, but in the previous frame you can tell that's not Cal. This lady is the real-life owner of this cafe. This is pretty clever, because this is a Ford Taurus rather than a
Mercury Sable.
But they are effectively the same car. This license plate also starts with a 4.
How does the license plate start?
4.
Which is an enormous coincidence, but it fits the story. But notice there's no camping sticker.
Come on already. What is she doing in there? Is she making a sandwich? Where's her sense of responsibility?
What? What?
We hear Lars say what while his mouth doesn't move.
What? Hey! What the? Funny to run into you.
There are multiple F words per season, and season 1 has 3. They just chose not to burn one here. Or as Vince taunting AMC.
You're in an accent.
This is an interesting theory. Is Walt passing the torch here? These episodes were both directed by Vince, so maybe he just likes shots like this. The only thing Vince has said about this shot is that he stole the idea from this scene in Bit by a Dead Bee, in which the main action is out of focus.
Yeah.
She took off on us.
She what?
We're following her. You're following her how?
Even though these are stuntmen, they also digitally erase safety wires.
Wire.
New plan. You do know me. I'm your lawyer. Wait for me.
Wait for what? You haven't been right even once. Slipping Jimmy my ass.
You fell into the honeypot. Hit and run is a felony.
This is more money. So what do we need him for?
Again, they shot the same couple of blocks multiple times, so you can see the same buildings and the same parked Jeep go by more than once. And avoiding anachronisms is an impossible task, so I don't blame them, but I'll point out that 4-door Jeep Wranglers first appeared in 2007. And that appears to be a 3rd-generation Prius which launched in 2009. Again, those are stunt skaters.
What is the matter with you? You hit and run.
This is Miriam Colon joining Mark Margolis and Stephen Bauer as the 3rd Scarface connection in the Breaking Bad universe.
You felonied my brother.
¿Qué pasa? No, señor, no
Make with the dinero.
Dinero.
Dinero. See, righteous dinero. Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Mijo, mijo.
Was that money?
Jimmy driving with tape on his windshield definitely makes me think of Walt.
Open up, officer of the court. Good afternoon.
I know someone who wears shirts like that. Also, Michelle McLaren directed this shot intended for episode 2, but Vince stole it for this episode instead. Besides the obvious fan service, their thought was who would be the worst person to open the door. Personally, I think Uncle Jack or Todd would be worse. They went to great lengths to keep Tuco's appearance a surprise. In the script and during production, they only ever referred to him as Mijo. He was hidden under umbrellas as much as possible and traveled under a fake name. And Raymond Cruz agreed not to have his name in the on-screen credits earlier in the episode, but they worked him in at the end. He also didn't attend the premiere for the same reason. The name of this episode is of course a reference to it being the first, but one thing I wonder whether it's intentional is the sheer number of 1 references.
You know one thing?
100. Fact 1.
One Saturday night.
This one's for you.
2,100.
One trial.
You're one shy.
1.6 million.
Well, that's-
Even the innocent ones. 1/3 of this place. 1 2/3.
And I, for one,
The one about false principles.
126. It's going to be one every week.
One good fall for one fall. 2 falls in one day.
For one hit.
One hit. I'm number 1 on your speed dial.
Gonna do this one.
And that's not including several someones.
You want someone in your corner, someone who will fight.
I'm sure there's someone at UNM. Why ride on someone else's coattails?
Finally, I'd like to clarify that in this series, I'm going to assume you've watched all of Breaking Bad so I can talk about anything relevant without worrying about spoilers. I will do my best to avoid spoiling future episodes of Better Call Saul, though, so you can watch these videos alongside the series if you want. Congratulations and thanks to Dylan Ring Productions, This Is LP Master, and Lost Griff, who all just became 1-year members. Also, thanks and congrats to Thomas Davi, Trisha Off Perks, Alex Scott 20, Beppy, FaZe, Pablo, Suspenseful, Pink Pools, Resin, Yuri Liudovich, Babadino 9, Tabasco, and Summer Woods, who just became 6-month members. Thanks to all the new members over the last several videos, we've got 3 new emojis: Sad Gene, 3D Saul, and Why Not? Here's Daniel Price Wormold. Before we get to the new members, allow me to fix my pronunciation of Leggy, Maurice Reyes, Leo Dumas, and Jaeger. Okay, say hi to Sergio C, Fentmaxer88, Taco Rocco, Tom Varley, Patrick Gilliland, Matthew Patterson, Axel H, Scythoth Khan, Shatter, Boggy, Lucas, Bosbrower, The Soggy Bobber, Yuktug, Graysland, Kutus, Matteo 4 DJ, Yash Potatoes, Snecky Dog, Ducky, Nope, Cursephone, Flexican, Spooky Robster, Jorah Karstrom, Thick 30N, Jock and Ballin, Z Crabmeister, Leon Garvey, Colonel Ed Harrington, Cobalt, Basketaz, Ayla Sunset, 00, Stuart Friedel, Omar Darla's Memes, Andrew Gresham, Turning Ink 45, Bigby 1002, Wub, Amadou Stetcher, Xantid Says Hi to Lizzie, Duke Crumbletree, Fraser Pack, Tedachiko Papu, Bet, It's Sweets, Darcy, Naya's World, Fruit, TCB, Cheaty Pants, Luli, Gabby, Squeaky Wheels, Micrometer, Rares Rara Stefan, Cambot again, Aram Emra Demir, Kasu, I'll send you to Belize, Boost Chicken, Waving Fuzzball, Zoltz Fox, and Dripple. Next week, Michelle McLaren directs us through a fun look at Tuco and his crew.
You know what I took home? $700. I might as well go down to Skid Row and sell my...
You were going to say sperm, weren't you?
I wanted to, because I want to sell my sperm.
What the fuck?
Can't say that.
What the fuck? Sorry to bother you.